Don't give up. It's just the weight of the world. When your heart's heavy, I will lift it for you. Don't give up because you want to be heard. If silence keeps you, I will break it for you. Everybody wants to be understood. Well, I can hear you. Everybody wants to be loved. Don't give up because you are loved. Don't give up. It's just the hurt that you hide. When you're lost inside, I'll be there to find you. Don't give up because you want to burn bright. If darkness blinds you, I will shine to guide you. Everybody wants to be understood. Well, I can hear you. Everybody wants to be loved. Don't give up because you are loved. You are loved. Don't give up. Everybody needs to be heard. Don't give up. You are loved.
Please join me in prayer. We give thanks for this beautiful day in which we take up a new pair of glasses that allow us to look and see each and every person we come in contact with, as we're able to look at every event that takes place, recognizing that it is all good and that it is all God, that we live in a universe that conspires for our highest, best good, that we are all connected. We give thanks for everyone who's come together to make this service possible, our technical team, our musicians, our practitioners. We give thanks for every soul that is in this sanctuary who's come to celebrate the practice of taking a godlike view of each and every person and each and every event that takes place in this life, in the knowledge that God is all there is. I release these words into divine law after giving thanks for each and every person that is celebrating this view, this godlike view, this connection, this oneness that we all experience, whether it's in this sanctuary, watching online, in a mosque, in a cathedral, in a synagogue, out in the forest, in the living room, yes, even in the bathtub, soaking in Mr. Bubble. I give thanks for the magnificence that is God that shows up in every form. It is perfect in form and substance. And I release these words into divine law where these things are already done in the universal mind. I let this go, I let it be. And together we affirm, and so it is. We're going to start our words of inspiration out today in the New Thought Dictionary. Our first term is self-realization. To realize one's unity with the God self, and hence unity with all life itself and all that is. Inner acknowledgement and understanding of the spiritual truth of one's being. Our second term from the dictionary is spiritual vision. Spiritual vision, perceiving the eternal presence, wholeness, truth, and beauty in every person and in everything. From Chogyam Trungpa, training one's mind, body, and speech in accordance with the truth would bring about the understanding and wisdom that produces peace. From our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes, and the treatment that he rendered in How to Use Science of the Mind. As he becomes more conscious of this love, all lack, all fear, all that is false, slips away as mists fade in the morning sunshine. He sees God in everything, personified in all people, manifest in every event. He is one with deep abiding peace. As this peace flows through his being, every problem is released. He has an enthusiastic outlook on life, and he permits himself to be guided into complete happiness. The way is made clear before him and is filled with joy and harmony.
So that when we were looking in the mirror, we were not interpreting what we were seeing because of our facial expression. We were only seeing the physical body. I tried it once. I didn't like the results. I didn't do it again. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So as we're looking at our talk for today and moving into this time today, we're talking about seeing and being seen. And the first part of that is seeing. That is what is my job to do. And then how do I want to be seen in the world around me? The censure for all of this I was thinking about today was I can stand in front of the mirror and I can get ready and I can think I look pretty good and I can walk out and I can go out into the world, and somewhere along the line someone takes my photograph. And the next thing you know, I see a picture of me on Facebook. And it's not pretty. I'm not happy. Because we can't interpret what we're seeing in a photograph like we could interpret when we're standing in front of the mirror. It's just a whole different dynamic of how the psyche, the mind works. And so, again, we kind of look at it and we think, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight, or I should never wear that outfit again, or why did I do that to my hair? You know, we've got all this wonderful critiquing going on. So we're going to talk about this a little bit today. We're going to talk about who we are, and how we show up. And so the first thing I want to look at is the principle behind all of this. What is that core principle belief that we have that supports us in this process? And so I get this from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. In our Declaration of Principles, he says this: "We believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but it is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Wow. There's one power. There's one God. There's one infinite wisdom. And we are of that. We are a part of that. It is part of the expression of who we are in all things. We teach that oneness in this philosophy. We don't teach sameness, we teach oneness. So in that place of being one, we are connected to Source. We are all connected one to another, but we're not the same. Whoever thought we would be? Clearly, some people did, because we've been pushed in that direction for hundreds of thousands of years to be like someone else, to duplicate a behavior or a mindset or a political belief or a religious idea. And so let's look at this today and see how this has an impact on us. Each one of us is our own unique configuration of the divine. I like that terminology, configuration. Life was breathed into each of us, and we were prompted to go out and express ourselves freely, beautifully, as we are, knowing that we are of the divine. That sounds so simple, and yet we've made it incredibly complicated. So here's where we look at that power of vulnerability that we've been talking about all month. That when we allow ourselves to be who we are, we allow ourselves to freely express who and how we are, we know that we are stepping into that plane of vulnerability, and now others may judge us, they may criticize us, they may argue with us, and that's okay. And it's the that's okay part that we want to strive for. Louise Hay said, if I want to be accepted as I am, then I need to be willing to accept others as they are. We're back in that wonderful thing we call a catch-22. In order for me to accept and embrace you, I've got to accept and embrace me. In order for me to have you accept and embrace me, I've got to accept and embrace you. It's kind of this twofold process. So if we want to be seen and we want to see others, we must bring this out into the open. Now, the more I got into this talk this week, and the more I got into this idea of coming out into the open and being out in the open, the more I got stuck on a couple of things I learned way back in the days when I was a young kid at a different type of church, in a different type of religion. And some scripture was coming up for me from the Bible. And so I'm going to talk about it for a moment. Because whether it's rattling around the back of your head or not, we want to make sure we can get some clarity here. There was a time in the New Testament scriptures where Jesus was talking to a number of people. And I'd like to say his least favorite group, but I can't say that because I don't know what was on his mind. I can only tell what the scriptures sound like, was a group called the Pharisees. And the Pharisees were these boastful, proud, kind of egotistical people, and they went out and they would go stand on the corner and they would raise their arms in the air and they would start shouting to the rooftops in prayer to God, professing their love, professing their commitment to this deity. And Jesus wasn't particularly thrilled with that whole thing. In fact, there's probably over a dozen scriptures in the Bible that talk about where Jesus is talking about how we could pray, how we should pray. And at one point he says in Matthew, the book of Matthew, he says, when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites. They love to stand and pray in the synagogues and on the street corners so that they may be seen by others. I say to you, they've already received their reward. But when you pray, go into your room, go into the quiet, go into the closet and pray. So I took that and I thought, okay, so What Jesus, the master teacher, was talking about was there is a place where you can go and be in that place of solitude, be in that place of safety, be in that place of quiet, where you can connect with that being, that beautiful divine that you want to connect with. Now, I think we took some of those translations and we began to make something out of them, and we began to find out that the closet's a really cool place to hide. Now, we were talking about prayer. That's what Jesus was talking about. Don't get confused. But now, looking back over the years and over time, yeah, I remember as a little kid, I did something wrong. I hid in my closet because I know no one was going to find me there. I don't know why I thought that, because someone did, but the closet became this place for us, this kind of sanctity for us, this kind of place of safety, and we attached to that. So when we go back now, let's come back to today. We're talking about seeing and being seen. There are people on this planet that don't want to be seen because of fear, because of trepidation, because of the criticism, because of the pain that they have faced in situations when they were seen, and now they're shutting down and they're going quiet and they're going into the silent place and they're going into the closet to hide. So that brings us to another concept of this. You see, back in the 1960s was the first time that the terminology coming out of the closet became a common term for someone who was hiding their sexuality, their belief system, a part of the true nature of who they were, and now they wanted to be able to stand and be seen and be heard, and it was the terminology we used was coming out of the closet. In 2022, excuse me, boy, I time warped, didn't I? In 2022, this past September, on a beautiful, warm September evening, in Benidorm, Spain, Xander Murray, a footballer, went and attended a gay pride celebration. For the first time in his life, he got to see some people like him that he could relate to, having a great time, celebrating who they are and how they are, simply, beautifully, freely, without obstruction, without challenge, without concern. During that event, a friend of Xander's took his picture and asked him later if they could post it on social media, and he said, oh, no. The world cannot see me at the gay pride celebration. And not that particular picture. Absolutely not. He went back to his room, and he started thinking about his life and thinking about the fact that he was hiding a very big part of himself. And that maybe it was time to take that bold step and to do something different. The Scottish footballer's family and friends knew a lot about the gay community. They didn't necessarily know about Xander. He was about to become the third male, openly gay, active professional footballer in the world. The third known. How frightening do you suppose that was for him to consider what was going to happen not only to himself as an individual, but to his career? He took a deep breath. He pulled up the photo on his phone. He went to his personal social media page, and he made the announcement. He posted it, and he went to bed. When he got up the next day, he was greeted with love, openness, kindness, and appreciation. Others in his situation were not greeted the same way, because he also knew of another footballer in 1990 whose name was Justin Fashanu. In 1990, Justin let the world know that he was gay. He was persecuted, he was hurt, he was criticized, he was ostracized. And by 1998, just 8 years later, Justin couldn't face the world anymore, and he took his own life. I bring this to you today because we get to look at this. What is ours to do in situations and circumstances like this, where people are trying to just be who they are, just relate to how I am? No, I don't see it the same way as you do. Does that have to matter? Does that have to be the breaking point? Does that have to be the piece that I have to hold back on? What Xander said later about all of this process was, I had opportunities to play higher in the Scottish divisions, and I chose not to because I knew that being gay was going to cause a problem. If I pursued my career at the level I wanted to, more and more people would see me. I would be out there in the limelight more and more often, and someone would figure it out, and it would be the end for me. I can't imagine living with that kind of fear, that kind of challenge. This just took place at the end of 2022, and much of his comments are from early this year, February 2023. We haven't healed this part of us yet. We haven't fixed it. We can see it everywhere right now. We have states in the United States that are trying to take stands and make movements against children of same-sex parents not being able to talk about their home life in the school system. We're talking about seeing and being seen, and yet we, on the other hand, we're shutting people down who are trying to be seen, who are trying to speak up, who are trying to just be a part of life and love and living and all of those things. My friends, there's stuff for us to do here. There is a lot of stuff for us to do. Xander said that one of his referees, Lloyd Wilson, also a gay individual, had come out, if you will, in 2022. And the two of them kind of bonded together in this process. And he said he's looking forward without regret, knowing that he is now fully expressing himself as who he is. And he says, you know what? I've actually noticed that some people have been nicer. So think about that for a second. Have you ever been in conversation with someone and you kind of felt like they were withholding something? That maybe they weren't quite real? That maybe there was kind of a energy about them where they were like maybe protecting themselves, or they weren't speaking freely, or something along those lines? I've been there. I'm sure we all have. And we begin to kind of maybe ease away from them in our minds or in our talk, because we don't know what's going on with them, but we're not able to quite reach them. That's what I'm talking about. This is happening everywhere with so many people. So many beautiful expressions, unique expressions of the divine. He said at the end of his interview, I am actually delighted to be gay. I would hope so. It's the truth of who you are. So what can we do? Well, first of all, we get to show up. We get to be seen. We get to use our voices for not only ourselves, but for those around us who are feeling persecuted, who are feeling hurt, who are feeling challenged, criticized. And then we get to see them. And it's so simple. All you have to do is look someone in the eyes. Make eye contact. You don't even have to have the perfect thing to say, because you don't have to say anything to make that connection. to be in that person's world, to let them know that you also hold and feel their heart and that you want to be a part of who and what they are. Susan Weisberry gives us this quote: "With every act of self-care, your authentic self gets stronger, and the critical, fearful mind gets weaker. Every act of self-care is a powerful declaration. I am on my side. I am on my side. Each day, I am more and more on my side." What a beautiful little mantra to take with us this week. And to know that when I say I'm on my side, it's not just me. I have a whole team of ancestral energies that's behind me, that's holding me in this space, that's brought me here. And I have the divine, the beautiful one power, one being, that godness inside of me. I don't need to go out and find 10 people just like me. Heaven help us if there were 10 people just like me. I think that would be exhausting. For me, maybe for you, I don't know, but to find these people and to connect, and then to look at this idea of self-care. Because here's what I know. When I go into self-beat up, when I forget the beauty and the wonder of who I am, and I start going into that place of I'm not good enough, and that person's probably going to do a better job than I am, and I can't quite meet that mark, and oh my gosh, when I start doing all of that, I stop taking care of me. So in the seeing and being seen, we want to bring the idea of self-care into this, knowing that every time I do something to take care of me, to take care of this physical being, my emotional state, my spiritual mindset, my intellect, when I'm taking care of all of that, then that voice of fear starts to get a little bit quieter. What a great idea is that? Black Elk gives us this quote: "While I stood there, I saw more than I can tell, and I understood more than I saw. For I was seeing in a sacred manner the shapes of all things in the Spirit, and the shape of all shapes as they must live together as one being, and I saw that it was holy." I love the song that we sing at the beginning of our service when we go into that place that says, we are on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. I was going to look at what it says. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. This quote is talking about a vision coming from someone who understands the laws of nature, the laws of the planet, the laws of the Great Spirit, and is seeing all of this beauty taking place, people, shapes, all kinds of things happening, and knowing that they all live together as one being. And it's holy. If you have a preference for your life that is unique or different to mine, you are no less holy than I am. The expression of you, who you are is just as holy as any one of us. Breathe that in a second. Just breathe that in. That knowing that I am here to allow you to be okay, and 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 to affirm for you that you are, and that you are accepted, and that you are loved, and that you are precious and valuable. And that's what we are all called to do, all of us. So seeing others, as Black Elk is expressing in this quote, seeing others does not mean that we see them as we think they should be. It's not seeing them how they could be if I get a chance to fix you, or correct you, or adjust you. Married a couple of those, that didn't work out at all. Let's don't go there. It's not about that. It's requiring us to have present moment eyes. Anytime I come in contact with someone and I'm thinking, boy, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to interact with this person. I'm not quite sure if there's something. I get out of that head chatter immediately, drop into my heart, and I see them in the present moment with my present eyes. Because in this moment, right here, right now, we're all perfect. Absolutely perfect. There's nothing that needs to be changed. There's nothing that needs to be adjusted. I don't need to go touch up my roots of my hair. I don't need to. No, we don't have to do any of those things. When we see through the lens of judgment and comparison, we lose all the time, every single time. But if we use that gaze of awareness and look for the similarities within one another, look for how we are one, how we are connected, how we can continue to connect, the entire situation, the entire circumstance, the entire conversation shifts, doesn't it? It changes. When we are called to recognize the challenges to vulnerability and address them head on without downplaying them, bypassing them, or ignoring them, we create a vibration of acceptance. More and more we're hearing about the world is made up of energies. The universe is energies. We're all energies. Everything is made up of these beautiful energetic vibrations. What a beautiful way to lift that up, to create that higher vibration of acceptance, honoring, and respect by making space for everyone to be here now, to be real, and to be vulnerable, and to be accepted. What a concept. What a beautiful, beautiful concept. Yes, I absolutely believe that we can take this planet and everyone on it into that place of love, acceptance, and connection. Regardless of the way the conditions look today, we can do this. We can support this process. So in addition to seeing self, seeing within, and then seeing the others around us, we want to see the space between each of us. And I have this quote from Brené Brown. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Vulnerability is not weakness. It is our greatest measure of courage. I remember years ago being in business meetings at work, and in the discussion, I would come up with an idea that I wanted to share. And I felt this thing kind of clutch into my throat, and I felt this weird agitation in my gut, and I could feel this kind of antsiness, I guess I'd call it, in my legs, in my knees, and I would not speak up. And every single time I came out of a meeting, I was frustrated with myself. Because 9 times out of 10, when I didn't speak what I thought I wanted to speak, someone said the exact same words within 5 minutes. And if it didn't get spoken, then what I wanted to do after the meeting was I wanted to go connect with my boss or manager and share my ideas. Well, that's what the meeting was for. How dare I take up his or her time now after the meeting when I didn't bother to contribute during the meeting? Wasn't working for me. And it took some courage. And I started speaking up. And the first couple of times, it was basically hell on earth. Didn't say it the way I wanted to say it, might have got choked up a little bit, might have got interrupted, whatever. Eventually, I got to that point where I just spoke freely. And now people can't shut me up. Isn't that funny how that worked out? But I don't even think about it anymore. I built that muscle up. I kept practicing, allowing myself to just be vulnerable in a group environment and let whatever happen, happen. That's what we get to do. That's how we get to be. is to use our voices and to express ourselves and to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and know that we're not going to lose when we do. We're going to embrace that into that beautiful superpower that it is. This comes to us from intentional action. It's not just the words you speak. Sometimes it's as simple as the way you carry yourself and the way you show up. I'm not saying that if you take that risk and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, every chance you get this week, you're going to have it right. But you're going to learn a lot of cool stuff. You're going to make a lot of great connections, and you're going to feel good about how you're showing up. Vulnerability makes space for us to try, miss the mark, reflect, and then try again. It invites us to listen, not waiting for the opportunity to fix or prove ourselves right, but just to listen to understand what the other individual has to say. When we show up like this, not only in this New Dawn community, but in the greater community and in every social situation that we move into, when we do this, we create that space for everyone to show up. They don't have to wait for a pride celebration to be their true selves. They can be their true selves every single day, and we can be that support that allows them to be that. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, gives us this quote that I will close with today. All creation is a manifestation of the delight of God. God seeing itself in form, God experiencing itself in its own actions, and God knowing itself in us as us. For the highest God and the innermost God is the one God, and not two. How beautiful are those words? That Spirit is here everywhere, just waiting for us to give it the opportunity to express through us, to be that unique individualization of all that it has given us. We need to stop hiding, stop trying to keep our lives separate, stop trying to protect ourselves from fear, and reach out to those around us who can help us, who can support us, who can encourage us on and take us into that place of true expression, of love, of light. So this week I want you to remember, vulnerability is not a one-dimensional concept. It requires internal awareness and an external practice. Everything we do in this philosophy, we teach through practice. That's how we get to be better at what we are doing. We're called to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I like that because it puts me on a place of an energetic plane that I don't operate on all the time. I'm more aware, I'm more in tune, I'm paying attention, I'm listening. I'm watching body language, those beautiful nonverbals of how people respond. And I can respond to that. I can support that. I can reach out and touch those individuals. This week, I encourage you, take a look inside. See if there's something you're hiding. See if there's something you're not comfortable with expressing. And start working on that internal muscle about self-acceptance. And then as you continue through that process, then turn your attention to the outside world and how we can absolutely see the people around us and appreciate them and love them and encourage them so that we can move away from this place of prejudice and persecution and move into that place where we can all live freely in love. I think that sounds like a perfect world. And I believe that we are ready for it. Please pray with me. In this moment, right here and right now, I absolutely know that the divine is present. The one God, the beauty that created this world, this planet for us, all of nature, that amazing presence that gives us the green leaves that are showing up on the trees and the blue sky and the gentle breeze and, yes, sometimes the chill in the air, the sound of the birds, the laughter of a child. All of these things are expressions of God. And they are reminders for each of us that we are not alone. We are never alone, for Spirit is always right here with each and every one of us. And so knowing that, I know that each of us is blessed by God. Each of us is blessed to live our fullest life and to live our fullest expression of who we are and how we are. And not hold back and not hide ourselves and not try to mask who we are, but allow ourselves to be beautifully, clearly, perfectly present as we are right here and right now. How beautiful this is. How reassuring it is to know that each one of us has a part to play in all of this for others as well. And I give thanks. I give thanks for this knowing. I give thanks for this truth. I give thanks for this very idea of just living in love and supporting everyone else to do the same. And as we walk this week and we live our lives this week, and we do so with present eyes, looking at the situation and the circumstance in the moment, and knowing that we are guided by the divine in this moment and the next, we know that it's all good and it's all God. And so I give great thanks for everyone who is here today in this room, for everyone who has an opportunity to tune into this message online, for everyone who is in this universe experiencing and expressing life in form as they are. All are blessed. All are perfect, and all are one. I give thanks for all of this. I give thanks for the very privilege to take this to prayer. And I just release all of this into the mind of God, knowing that it is already existing in the law of mind, and Spirit is already moving forward, and whatever it is we seek, whatever we desire to manifest is coming forth right here and right now, and it's good and it's perfect, and by God it's already done, and all we need to do at this moment in time is let it go as we say together, and so it is. Hello, I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.